Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Late Night Show with Dr. Kojo. I'm your host, Kojo Sarfo, checking in from what was a very sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. We're going to talk about some practical things that you can do to make your life a little bit simpler if you have ADHD. And I think this one's going to help to bring a lot of value to a lot of people. So I'm excited to talk about it. But before we get into it, like we do every single time we go live on this show, use the comment section to let me know who you are and where you're from. And then let's go ahead. Let's get it. And this is my little pin comment that I just put up there before every show, so that if this is your first time watching, you know a little bit about what's going on here. Come on, PlayStation controller here. I was playing a little bit earlier. So yeah. Yep. April says, I saw this before my phone. Maddie, what's going on? Justine Ring from Akron, Ohio. Okay, love from Ohio. Hey, that kid Nate. Hey, that's my brother right there from Augusta. How you doing, Nate? Felicia from Huntsville, Alabama. What's going on? We got Stephanie from Montreal. What's going on? Maddie, hopefully we can help out a little bit. Bethany is repping Chicago. Mine's hereditary ADHD. Same here. Leilani, what's going on? Kendra, what's going on? How you doing? Alex Smith, what's up? How you doing? Shan, thank you very much. I gotta get a haircut, so I don't feel handsome right now, but I'm gonna get a haircut soon. Manchester, New Hampshire. Okay, Ron, we just started, so you're right on time. Regina's excited. Likewise, Kelly from Winder, Georgia. I know exactly where that's at. Stephanie, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. G Johnson from Toronto. Sean, happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. Jacqueline from Missouri. Shanti's from Hollywood. So my neighbor. Okay, Norfolk, Virginia, Rome, Georgia, Ontario, Oklahoma. Hey Ann, how you doing? People checking in from everywhere. Chris, I appreciate you. Philippines, Rhode Island. All right, let's go ahead and let's talk about it. Okay. Nate said he's from Toluca Lake. That made me laugh. Okay. Kristen, I appreciate that. We're gonna keep the good times rolling. All right. So these are 3 simple things that you can do to help yourself out if you have ADHD. None of these are gonna we're not talking about medications here. So meds are helpful, right? But this is something that you can do right here, right now, without talking to a doctor or anything like that. Of course, it's not medical advice, but I want to talk about some practical things that can be helpful for you. And as I give out the tips, y'all let me know if it's helpful. If it's not, let me know. But I think it'll be helpful. So I hope everybody's had a great day, and I am ready to get into it with the very first one, because I don't want to hold you all up. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Casey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Casey, before I get into it, let me say this real quick. That's another reason why I love social media so much. And we'll talk about following your passion. Obviously, social media is a passion for me, but we'll talk about why it's important to do things that you love in this live stream. But like when I was practicing full time, like I think doctors and patients all want the same thing. Doctors want to help out patients, and patients want to be helped out. But I'm not going to talk down on the insurance companies, but insurance companies, they make it hard to help. But that's not the point and purpose of this show. So the very first thing you can do to help yourself out with ADHD is Khalid, I appreciate you. Is things that take a minute or less, do it now. Things that take a minute or less, do it now. Why is that so important, right? Why is that so important? And this is important because with ADHD, right? And I mean, I'm sure with other things, but with ADHD, you can have a lot of thoughts going through your head at one time, right? And you're probably good at multitasking. And the funny thing about multitasking is that multitasking is an awful way to get things done, right? The brain is actually meant to do one thing at a time, right? You're not meant to be doing a million things at a time, but the way life is, that's kind of what we do. I got my Mac here, I got my iPad, I got my Alexa, I got 2 iPhones here, I got a TV. We are constantly overstimulated every single day. every single moment, and that's not the the best thing for any brain, whether it's ADHD brain or any brain, right? But you have all these things to do, right? And we have our to-do list. Like I have my to-do list right here, other things that have to get done. But when you have a simple task to do, right? Well, I say simple, relatively speaking. Nothing is technically simple, right? But if you have a task to do that takes a minute or less, right? That task is something that if you don't do it right then and there, you may put it on your to-do list and say, "Oh, I'll get back to it." But that one small thing can frustrate you. That one small thing can be something that upsets you, and as you go throughout your day, you're like, "Dang it, I forgot to do boom, boom, boom." Right? If it's, for example, a good example is taking out the trash. Right? To take out the trash, it'll take a minute or maybe 5 minutes. Right? But it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm gonna take out the trash a little bit later because I'm just overwhelmed. I don't want to do it right now." Right? And I understand, right? We have ADHD paralysis. You might be tired. You might be depressed. You might be caught up with something, right? But if you don't take out the trash right now, right? So, all right, let's just do this. Today is what, Thursday. So I don't think anybody's trash day is Friday, right? But if you have to take out the trash, if your trash day is Friday, please take your phone with you. If you're watching this live stream right now, take your phone with you and take out the trash while we're on this live right now, like right now, right? And for you all who you have simple tasks to do, if you have to put something away, like do it right now. Like I'm going to be on live for at least 30, 40 minutes. Do it right now. So Raj says my trash day is Friday. So Raj, what I need you to do, uh, hopefully you're watching on your phone, but take out the trash right now as you're watching this, because if you don't, I'm not saying you're gonna miss trash day, right? But you're gonna say, "Oh, I'll take out the trash in a second," and then it's adding on to a to-do list that's getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And then when you have a long to-do list, it becomes difficult to prioritize which one you have to do. And then with ADHD, a very classic ADHD thing is to do the right thing at the wrong time, right? Because everything is the right thing, but you didn't do the one that was the most priority. So now you're sitting there and you're going to suffer the consequences of, "Oh, I didn't get this and that done, but I got this done, but this is not going to give me any benefit at this time," right? So do it right now, okay? Um, However, I appreciate that. I like to say that my parents had sex at the right time, so I'm not responsible for these genes. Cynthia says, "Already did it. Celebrate the small steps." Let's go ahead and give Cynthia the first love of the show. April says she took out the trash right before the live. Perfect. Leonora says she's doing it right now. Do it right now. Anything that takes you a minute or less, do it right now. And what you're gonna find out is that even if you burn out like later on in the day, if you've done a couple of simple tasks, it's gonna help to give you momentum. And you're like, "Okay, I feel proud of what I've done today. I feel like I've been productive," right? And sometimes it's the small things, right? And this is something that I struggle with all the time. And I tell myself, I'm a coach, do it now, do it now, do it now, pay it now, because I don't want a late fee. Put this away now because I don't want the ants to come out. Like I've left food. I don't know what it is about California, but like I've left food out here in the kitchen, and then ants come to the next morning, and I'm like, I should have just taken it out, and now I have to like go through this whole ant ordeal. Evie got the trash out. Congratulations. Montana, I appreciate you. And Cynthia, yeah, you got the first love of the show. You got the first love of the show. Who else? This literally did it. Dish. I literally just did it. Right. Look. So now, if that was the one thing that you have been sweating over, you've done it. You've taken the trash out. Now you can relax. You can watch this live. You can just do what you want to do. And let me give a shout out to you. I hope my parents don't see that. Week. Vicky. Loving the show. And shout out to Kendra and shout out to Leilani, the moderators, for helping the show go smoothly. I can't wait to see how the show gets better and better. All right, so the second thing that you can do to help improve your life with ADHD that you could do right now. This is something that I do every day, and I didn't realize that I did it until recently as I started to make these videos, right? But it's utilizing body doubling. And Alyssa says unweird. Alyssa, I don't know if that's a word, but we can make that a word. We can make that a word. But utilizing body doubling, right? So this is when you have somebody else in the area, and as you're doing whatever you're doing, right? That person is like, let's say I have a good friend of mine working in that corner, right? If he's working in the corner, I'm like, hey, bro, can you just work in the corner? Or I got the PlayStation set up right now. I could say, bro, just play Madden while I work. It's gonna allow me to get things done, right? And you might ask yourself, why am I more productive when somebody else is in the area, right? And you have to understand that. So and they partridge says what was by doubling. The way it was written, I said body doubling. All of a sudden I couldn't talk, right? But body doubling is when you're working, right, with somebody else in the vicinity. Some people use pets to body double. For me, it helps when an actual person is body doubling. I body double with my son every day for him to complete homework. Leilani, I know you're a moderator, but I gotta give you a love of the show for this. I remember being more productive when I was in school, and my mom or whoever would be doing things around, right? Maybe my mom would be doing dishes or something, but that would help me out. And the reason why this helps out somebody with ADHD is because you need stimulation, right? A lot of times when we're understimulated, we don't have anything to make us get up and do something. So with constant stimulation, that's why sometimes people benefit from, like, what's it called, the white noise or the brown noise, right? Sometimes having music on in the background is very helpful because it gives you the stimulation that your brain needs. Without stimulation, you can't not that you can't, but it's very difficult to get things done, right? So it's helpful to have a little bit of stimulation to keep you active, right? So having somebody else in the area is very helpful for somebody who has ADHD. Speaking of my mom, I'll call her later. Right. So, I did this back in grad school. The girl I was dating at the time, like, I would ask her, like, just stay in the room, let me work. And now I do it with, even when I'm recording videos, having my videographer record me while I make the reels for you all. Like, it helps me get the thing done. And if I stay somewhere in a quiet place by myself, it's going to be very hard to even start, right? A lot of times having somebody in the area, it helps keep you accountable, and then it helps you, like, make progress, right? If somebody's playing video games in the corner and they're like, oh, how far did you get on the paper? And you're like, oh, let me start now. That might be what you needed to start. You just need something to help you start the thing, right? So body doubling is extremely helpful. And Kelly says, Kelly, thank you for checking in. Chart with music on every day. I tell people to try to use. Yeah, so it's funny that Kelly's saying this because I remember back in Virginia, like when I had my office and I was, working in forensic psych, I could not chart without, actually, yeah, I've never ever charted a single patient note without music. Like, it's impossible for me to chart anything without music. Like, I need to have some type of music on. Of course, if I'm talking to a patient, I'm not going to be listening to music, right? Because I have the stimulation, and that, looking back now, I'm like, I guess that's why I was good at talking to the patients. I'm talking to a human being. I'm productive. I'm able to do certain things. So I'm able to move on, right? But once the patient will leave the office, I will put on my music, right? Or I'll put on, like, a podcast. Like, if I have to, like, chart for like 3 hours, I'll put on, like, a long podcast or a couple of podcasts. I start typing away, and before you know it, like, I'm done with the work. Some people cannot work in silence, and some people can, but if you have ADHD, I would bet that it'd be pretty difficult to chart in silence or to do anything in silence. And Carla says, I realized I needed this after 2 years working remotely. So, Carla, let me give you a love of the show, and let me tell you why. So this is so important because, like, for those of us who've been working remotely, and I've making videos, and when I see patients now, every now and then when I do see patients, like, it's always telehealth, it's always remote. It can kind of get lonely. You're at home by yourself, you're working, and you're like, I need some type of stimulation, And when I first moved to California in the middle of the pandemic, like, there were times when I would go to the dog park, right, and talk to complete strangers. In fact, I did it today, but it's because the dog park was on the way. But I'll go to the dog park and talk to complete strangers. Like, I'm just making up a conversation with somebody because I need some type of stimulation, right? And people don't understand that if you have ADHD and you're understimulated, that's how sometimes people get impulsive, right? Not that people want to go out and spend a lot of money, or maybe hop in bed with somebody that they didn't want to, but when you don't have any stimulation, it puts you at a position where you'll do anything for that stimulation, right? So having a little bit of stimulation is extremely important. And Courtney, I did maybe my mom heard what I said, but no, I'll get back to her later. I had called her first. I'll get back to her later. Dog parks are amazing for the soul. Yeah, no, it was a win-win for my dog and a win-win for me. Tina says it's hard to work in silence. Yeah, Tina, I'm happy that you're learning. And just keep that in mind, right? Like next time you have something very difficult to do, right? With ADHD, we know that the things that we struggle with, that's what is hard to do, right? If you have ADHD and you're really good at golf, you don't need any stimulation to play golf. Or if you're good at video games, you don't need any stimulation to play video games. You look forward to it naturally. So you're going to do it, and you're going to be better than most people at doing that one thing. But when you have to, pay your bills, and when you have to like clean your room, like right now I have like 3 clothes on my bed, right? Like 3 shirts, but it seems like a lot. I'm like, that's a lot. If I put on one song, or if let's say I put on like 2 or 3 songs, I can clean this whole room right now. I can clean this whole room right now, and like to the best of my ability, right? But that's why it's helpful to have people around. And Jesse says, I learned from Dr. Coach about body doubling, even if it's video FaceTime with a friend on the phone. It can be hard to find someone to come over. So yes, let me give Jesse another love of the show right here. I love the show for Jesse, because I think it's important to talk about this right now. People are more comfortable leaving their houses and being around people, but especially during the pandemic, it was hard to just be around people. So if you can FaceTime somebody or Zoom, right? Like I have my iPad right here. Like if I have somebody on FaceTime and I'm like, hey bro, I'm just gonna call you and just stay on FaceTime, and you can joke every now and then, but I'm gonna work on the computer, right? That allows you to feel like you're not alone, right? And in a way, this live is like a body double, because like I feel more productive. Of course, I'm just talking to y'all, but there's 350 people right now watching, like you're watching live, right? So if you're doing something right now in the house, like if you're sweeping or whatever, like you feel like you have somebody helping you do the work, but you're the one doing the work, but you're using the help of like the comments, So this is like a together effort. It's not just me. It's everybody who's in the comment section commenting, and as you're looking through your phone, things like that. And Winnie says, I love working alone. I get more work done. I watch TV while working. Can't handle noise from other people. So Wendy, thank you for saying that, because it's different for for the person. Some people have to work like by themselves, or they can cut on TV. So you have to figure out what works. What works for you. And Sandra says, I can't do complete silence. I need something going in the background. Yeah, that's how I am. I need something. Especially if you live alone, sometimes you can kind of get creeped out because you're like, I need some type of noise. Do you ever dance in your lives? I have before in the past, but I'll do some live streams where I'm like I'll switch up the location sometimes where I can like really get into it. And Lacey, yeah, I'm actually I'm live right now. So if you're watching like right now in this second, I'm live, but if you catch the playback, it'll seem like I'm live, but I'm not live right now. And Kendra, this is correct. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is, are you really live or just no? I'm live right now. I'm live right now. And what did somebody say? Toxic relationship. I missed that conversation with the toxic thing. Lisa says, hello, do you need a clean environment to stay focused? I have ADHD and I need things to be clean. So Lisa, this is like, it depends on the person, right? Some people need a clean environment to stay focused. And a lot of times with ADHD, I can say that the less mess, the more focused we can be. But it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because right now my desk that this computer is on, it's kind of messy, but it's helpful for me because, like I have everything that I need. The iPad's here, the phones are here, the remote is here, the sparkling water is here, sunglasses are here. And the reason why I think I may have posted this video, or actually, I'm that video is going to come out soon, where I talk about tips for people with ADHD. Having a certain area where you have all the things that you need all in one, right? Because we know that with ADHD, it's really hard to shift your attention from one thing to the next, right? So if I'm working, if I'm going live right now, right? Let's say I'm typing up a paper right now. If I'm typing up a paper and I stop to go use the restroom, for somebody with ADHD, that's a very scary thing. I'm just gonna go pee. But when I come back, it may be hard for me to come back and resume doing exactly what I was doing because I shifted my attention, you know. And ADHD is not like a deficit in attention, it's a difficulty with regulating it. So I'm gonna have to get up and go pee. But can I come back to the computer without getting distracted, right? Can I come back to the computer without somebody saying, "Oh, coach, are you watching the game?" And I'm like, "Who's playing?" And then 4 hours later, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to do the work," right? So keeping everything in one place, you know, allows me to know that, okay, I can come back here and like the remote's here. I don't have to get up to find a remote to put the TV off, you know. So you have to make your environment, something that's conducive for you to thrive in, because, you know, you have this is a neurotypical world. Like the world's not set up for people with ADHD to succeed, right? So that's why, you know, you might switch job, you know, one job, go to the next job, and you don't feel fulfilled, and you're like, you know, because maybe the job is boring, you're understimulated, you might thrive in chaos. So I think that's why it's important to understand, like, that's why these lives are important, right? Just to come here and have a good time and have community, but to also know that, all right, there are things that I can do to adjust, you know, the way my life is, that can really help me, you know, be productive when I need to be productive. Keep in mind, we don't always have to be productive. We don't always have to be productive, but when we have to be productive, at that time, we got to get that thing done, right? We got to get that thing done. And I work from home a lot. My mom babysits my toddler. It's good to have help. I prefer to work amidst the chaos, and I'm much more productive in the same room, or even just my door cracked. When it gets too quiet, I usually need music. I do get distracted too, though. So I move rooms throughout the day. So Jordan, I'm going to give you a love to show because I can relate to you on this one right here. So for me, like, I'm weird. Like, I have my room here, and I got like an extra computer room like behind right there. And sometimes I'll sleep here. Sometimes I'll sleep in that room. Sometimes I'll sleep on the couch, right? And sometimes I just have to change my environment. And it's important to talk about this because what if I'm dating somebody, right? And, you know, let's say she's here on the bed and she's sleeping on the bed, and I get up in the middle of the night and, you know, I'm like, I'm going to sleep on the couch. That person could wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, is something wrong?" Or like what's wrong with me? Or like, do we need to talk? I'm like, no, maybe I just need a different environment, right? So that's why communication is so important, because sometimes the small things can become big things. So it's very helpful to have people who understand who you are, and people who don't judge you for who you are, right? It lets you know that, okay, I'm a human being, you know, like, I'm not like, everybody has their own like idiosyncrasies or whatever, but I'm not some weird alien from a different planet because I got ADHD or something like that, right? You know, so I think it's important to say that. Let me look through a couple of uh, your post gave me my issues and identity. Thank you, Kavanaugh. I appreciate you, or Kavanaugh. I appreciate you because it's important to give the issues a name so you can call it out. So that way you can also address it. I have to write down everything so I can compartmentalize and prioritize even the most mundane tasks. Sean, like, I understand you, but I'm thinking with the ADHD brain, right? But the neurotypical person might not understand why. Like, somebody might look at see Sean at Starbucks, and Sean is like, all right, take out the trash, wash my shoes, and people might say, bro, like, just do, why do you need a reminder to do those things? But like, it makes sense because the most mundane tasks are the ones that you leave, like, that's what you do last, right? And it might not even be a difficult thing, right? You might be putting it off for like 2 weeks, and then it'll take you 5 minutes to do it, and you'd be like, dang, like, why did I wait so long? Like, it wasn't that bad. And then you'll do the same thing again with something else. So there's nothing wrong with this. You know, sometimes as adults, when we have to do these things, Somebody else will look at you and say that it's silly, but we know that those things, those small things can go a long way and can be very helpful. Um, uh, I just have to say I appreciate you, Vanessa, but I can't say that I'm your doctor because I don't want to get sued. I don't know who's watching. You know, the ops might be watching. All right. So the third thing that you can do, if you have ADHD right now, well, not right now, but if you have ADHD, the third thing you can do to help you out, and this is a very important one, and I think people forget this a lot, but this is do not neglect and oh, Courtney, going to do one task that takes 1 minute. I'm sure I get distracted afterwards, but I rewatch the show. Yeah, Courtney, just know that you can always get back to the show after the fact. So you can always get back to this show. All right, let me get back to that right there. So do not neglect things that you are good at. This is extremely important. If you have ADHD and you're watching this right now, whether you're watching the playback or whether you're watching the live right now, like 10:23 on the East Coast or 7:23 on the West Coast, do not neglect the things that you're good at. It's very important to do these things because these things are going to allow you to do things that you have to do, and it's going to make you better at those things, right? If you're a really good violin player, right, and you enjoy playing the violin, however busy you get in life, do not stop playing that violin. Like if there's a talented violin player on here, do not put down that violin for too long because you have to understand that with ADHD, the simple things can be very difficult for you to do, right? So if you're having a hard time paying bills on time or you're having a hard time getting the trash out, when you struggle with the simple things over and over, what that does is it lowers your self-confidence, right? And confidence comes from repeated self-achievement. So if you start something and you keep like not finishing it all the way through, you're gonna tell yourself, all right, I'm not consistent, I can't get things done, so I'm just not gonna do things because I already know that I'm not gonna finish it, right? So you're not feeling good about yourself. So when you're really, really good at something, it doesn't take that much effort to do it because you're better than most people at that one thing. And that thing is going to help to give you confidence. It's going to help to open up new doors for you. And it's going to help you. It's kind of like the reverse of what happened to you as a kid, right? If you're a kid with ADHD and teachers, like on the report cards, they would say things like, I know my report card, I used to get, he's a talented kid, or he's a bright student, but he's in a world of his own. He's a class clown, or whatever the teacher said in seventh grade. But when you hear those things every day of your life over and over for years, that's like a form of trauma in a sense. And people have told you that over and over. Nobody is born hating themselves. You're not born and you hate yourself, but you hear things over and over, and you understand that, oh, okay, like people say that I'm not good at this, so I don't think I'm that good at this, right? And those negative thoughts sometimes at the worst of it, it can become your personality, and you can struggle to feel good about yourself, right? And with that energy that you put out into the world, if you don't feel good about yourself and you're sulking and like your posture is a little off and like your eye contact is poor, you kind of open yourself up to being manipulated by people, right? If somebody sees you and they see that you're not your most confident, then that person can say, oh, they can come in and you sometimes become an easy target for manipulators or somebody who has narcissistic tendencies that hasn't been addressed, right? So it's important to do the things that you're good at, and I've realized that like it's important for me to do comedy, to play video games. Like I scheduled an hour to play video games a day with my best friend from college because I enjoy playing video games, right? And I'm good at it, right? Or I think I'm good at it. I lost 21-17. It was a close game, but doing those things, it helps to boost your self-esteem. And the self-esteem thing is so important because you're gonna have days where you wake up in the morning and a couple of things happen and you're like, oh, this is just not my day. And sometimes like we have 24 hours in a day, but sometimes you get to 10 o'clock and your day is already over. Like you've made a decision to shut down the day and you're still going about your day and you're doing whatever, but you're like, all right, the day is messed up. Like the day is over with because something happened in the morning and it just threw off your whole mood. Like that's happened to me many times where something happened. I'm like, oh my gosh. And you're like, oh, what was me? And nothing is ever going to feel, good again. Or, you get into this whole mini meltdown. And then like 2 hours later, you watch a funny video online and you're like, life is great, right? So it's really important to do things that you really, really, really enjoy. Let me look through you all's comments. Is age something you're born with, or you get through being? Sal, good question. To my knowledge, it's something that you're born with. You know, it's neurodevelopmental. For some of us, creating is necessary, and it is a huge red flag if we're not doing that. It is self care for me to make things. Let me give Wendy a big love of the show right here. And I like this comment so much because keep this in mind as you're making friends, right? As we're going through, life and we're making friends and we're interacting with people, you're going to see that there's certain people who only want to accept certain. As you're making friends, understand that if you're creating things, right, or whatever you're doing, the things that you enjoy doing are non-negotiables. And any friend that comes into your life that wants to pull you away from that thing, um, uh, not saying you should cut them off, but that can't be somebody that wouldn't be somebody that I'm spending a lot of time with, right? And especially if you're single, right now, and you're going to bring somebody into your life, they have to understand that, okay, my partner or my potential partner really enjoys going to the dog park, or they really enjoy drawing. They love art. So you cannot pull that person away from that thing, because if you do that, that's cutting into their identity. They do that to feel better about themselves, right? So it's very, very important. This is a great comment. I love this comment. And Sean says, I feel like it's a personal attack when people tell me right. I feel that way too, and sometimes like in the past, I've isolated myself to not hear that BS from people. But then we know that stuff like isolation is not the best, right? So that's why we come up with, coping mechanisms that are like, helpful and not maladaptive. Amanda says, my husband loves writing down statistics and analytics in football. I wonder if he can get into social media networking or create a YouTube channel. Amanda, so your husband can most definitely do this. And you have to understand, I'm not your marriage and family therapist, but when your husband is watching the game, like that game means a lot to him. Like when he's writing down the stats of the players and the quarterbacks, like that is his thing, right? And you might not understand it. I guess maybe the reverse is maybe if you're doing like something that he might not understand. There's a lot of things that as men we may not understand about what women do. But if you all enjoy that, then we have to say, hey, you go ahead and do this thing. If you love knitting, if you love song, if you love football, you got to do that thing. You do not want to be pulled away from that thing, because that might be sometimes the only place where you get that positive reinforcement. Like, oh, like sometimes that's the only way to remind yourself that, oh, I really am talented. Like I'm actually like really good at doing certain things, right? It's really, really important to do that. And Brittany says, I got that. Okay, I think you're talking about the negative comments. And Trish, yeah, if your kid has ADHD, they will be okay. But not that you want to baby your child, but you want to help create an environment where they can thrive and where they can be, successful. Juan, I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Natalie says, I agree with this. I paint. I never go more than 2 weeks without painting. Since I've started doing this, my depression and anxiety has gone down. I do other things to help these symptoms, but painting is the one thing that keeps me level. That's going to be a love of the show. And you have to understand what's happening here. You're painting because you're good at it. It increases your confidence, right? And it helps to adjust your thinking, right? And we know that with depression and anxiety, sometimes you can have that negative thought pattern, right? With depression, a lot of times you see like negative thought patterns and like hopelessness, helplessness, anxiety. Sometimes you get so tense and you feel it physically. You might even feel sometimes paranoid. So if you struggle with those two things and you do something that helps to boost your confidence over and over and over, it's going to allow you to believe in yourself a little bit more, right? And with that boost in self-esteem, like that momentum might be the motivation that you need to get things done, right? But around here, we know better than to rely on momentum, and motivation, because sometimes those things come and go. So if you don't have it, then you just don't get things done. So we have to do our best to discipline ourselves, right? And somebody, Christine, I was about to ask somebody to drop in the magic word. So Dallas Cowboys. Jesse, I feel the same way about the Titans. The Titans control my mental health in the fall. So every Sunday I'm on the couch, just like screaming and pulling out, the long hair that I have, right? Yeah, time for the water break, y'all. If you are new here, this water break is, the time that we get to go ahead and drink some water, make sure that we stay hydrated. We often forget to drink water throughout the day. I think that's everybody, right? But especially if you have ADHD. So this gives you a chance to drink water or whatever beverage that is your beverage of choice, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and sip some of this water for the water break. Cheers. Whew, icky thicky. That water is spicy. Tastes good though. Oh, sorry. I'm out here burping on live. Excuse me, y'all. How do you find an interest in hobbies with ADHD? It's hard to find yourself living with ADHD. People always ask me what I like to do on my free time, and I never have a flat out answer. So, Khalid, if you don't try a lot of different things, you'll never know. So a lot of times, whatever you enjoy, like whatever you would do on a free day, whether it's watching movies or whatever, right? You might watch something and you might learn something in a movie, something on Netflix, and you're like, let me research this, and that becomes like a hyperfixation for you, or that becomes like the next hobby, right? But it's important to try things, and as adults, we don't really try things. I've like myself, I don't really like. I have to. It takes effort to try things, whereas when you're a kid, like you go to the playground and like you're so open to different things. But I think it's important to try different things. If you don't have a hobby that you enjoy, take a day where you do nothing, drive around town, or try to sell something. Like you have to put yourself in positions to where you can do different things. And you haven't tried everything, so I know there's something out there that you could enjoy that you just haven't got to yet, right? Spicy. My son says that's nah, it is spicy water for real. Ashley says, I feel like I don't have any free time to have a hobby. So, Ashley, this might be true, but the reason why it's important to not give up hobbies when you have ADHD is because you have to understand that, like with your job and the things that you have to do for an income, that might just be what you do to survive, right? But you might need your job that you have may not give you the stimulation that you need, as an individual, right, to keep you fulfilled. And when you don't do things that you feel like represent who you are, I feel like a little bit of your soul dies. Like, and I'm not saying that your soul is dying, right? But the things that you used to do as a girl, like, coming up, what things did you do as a kid, and can you find a way to do that, right? And I guess, like, for me, I have football is the first thing that comes to mind. So every Sunday, like, I don't care how busy I am, like I never miss a game. I missed like 2 games in 20 years, and one was because a friend of mine got married, and I was like, bro, the next time you get married, do not get married on a during football season. And that was our inside joke because that was his second marriage. But he will be married to this one woman. We're gonna speak that into existence. And Jesse, yes, this is sparkling water. Yeah, I'm not sure what you thought it was, but it's sparkling water. Uh, you finally got me on my book. I'm super thirsty. All right, yeah. When you watch people drinking water, it might make you thirsty, right? Let me look at some of the comments here real quick. I gotta try new things. I've had enough of do nothing time. Yeah, Shauna, just try something new. Try anything new, or even just Google how to find a new hobby as somebody who lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or wherever you live. Sometimes I'll go to event. This is something that you all could do. Maybe a challenge for the weekend to go to Eventbrite and just put in your city. Right now, it depends. If you live in Omaha, Nebraska, you're not going to have as many things to do as somebody who lives in Houston. But just put in your city an Eventbrite and see what's going on. Just go there and maybe make a new friend. Rebecca says adults need play too. Most definitely. Like, when the closer you can get to the childhood version of yourself, sometimes that's where the joy comes from. Because as adults, like, what do? We wake up, we pay bills, we take care of kids. You take care of your spouse, you look after your aging parents, But like, are you gonna work until you die? Right? You're not gonna do that. You're gonna want to find something to make you feel fulfilled, right? So I think it's very important to put yourself in a position to where you can find new things for you. And Leilani, thank you very much. So to the people who did not get the first two things that we were talking about, the three things that you could do today, like tonight or whenever you're watching this, to help you out with ADHD. If it takes less than 1 minute, do it now, right? If I got to take out the trash and you're watching this, or if you have to, maybe you just have to put a reminder in your phone, do it now. A good example is my mom called me early this morning to tell me to do something and then to report back to my dad when I was done with it, right? As soon as I got off the phone with my mom, I said, okay, mom, all right, bye, love you. As soon as I got off the phone with my mom, before my thought could go to the next thing, I opened my phone, I put the reminder, like boom, 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 text that after I finished, boom, boom. And then after I finished that thing, I had a reminder to text my dad and I did it. Likewise, when I just know how to boil eggs. So I've been boiling eggs every day, right? When I'm making eggs, I don't want this house to be burnt down, right? I don't want to do that. So the moment that I put the eggs on the stove, I will go ahead and I'll put the reminder on my phone because it takes less than a minute to put the reminder on my phone. So I put the reminder on my phone and then I put a reminder on my iPad and then I tell the Alexa to put a reminder as well because something like that, I really don't want to forget. So I'll do it right then and there. And I have not burnt my house down and I don't plan on doing that. Right. So if it takes less than 1 minute, do it now. Number two, utilize body doubling, have people in your area, have music, some type of stimulation to help you get things done. And three, like I said, do not neglect things that you're good at. That's very important. Please find time for things that you're good at. And let me see. I've just started that putting my on the morning. I'm so much more productive. I'm a photographer, so I spend some days at home editing and I always procrastinate. But if I get up and I put, oh, your shoes on. Oh, hey. I really like this. I like this a lot. And I think I saw a video about this, about having your shoes on. This is very helpful because keep in mind with ADHD, Haley, that's why you get love of the show. You get love of the show because with ADHD, like I said, it's hard to regulate your attention. So the problem is not that you can't focus, but it's going to be harder for you to shift, to go from task to task to task to task. Like that's evidence based. Like there's a delay in time for you to shift from task 1 to 2 to 3. So you're going to be behind. So without doing different things to like adjust your environment or without putting shoes on, you're going to have less time than the neurotypical person in the day, right? So we may have like the 17, 18 hours that we're awake in a day, but you may really have like 12 or 11 like working hours because it takes you so long to get from one task to the next. So having your shoes on is helpful. I do feel more productive with my shoes on. And one of the running jokes online is that I don't have any clothes outside of scrubs, and I mean scrubs are probably the type of attire that I have the most in my closet. But if I'm gonna make a video or something like that, if I'm already in my scrubs, it's so much easier to just make the video as opposed to putting on this outfit, right? So if I'm just wearing like a do-rag and a jersey and I want to make videos that day, I gotta do my hair, I gotta take it. So just being in my attire, right? It allows me to just do the thing because when you have that urge with ADHD, you have an urge and a desire to do something, you may have to do it right then and there because once you lose the motivation, you're like, nah, I don't want to do it. And depending on what it is, it might be something that you have to do that you might not want to bypass, right? Leilani says, I literally set alarms for every class my son has throughout the day because if I didn't, I completely forget to tell him to be online for class. Yeah, and sometimes it's like this, right? And as your son is getting older, he can say, oh, mom is doing this, so maybe I should do it for myself, as he gets older and he'll see that you set up that example for him. So I think that's pretty good. So thank you for that shoes comment. I really like that one. I really like that one. Guys, this is a great tip. It saved me big time. Find shoes that are super comfortable and you can't I like that. I like that. Shoes on is good. And clothes on. Right. Having it on right then and there, you can just hop into it. Claire says, I put my gloves on as soon as I get in the gym. When I don't do it, I end up doing everything but my routine. Yes. So Claire, it's funny, like the small things like that, they go a long way. Like you get to the gym, you put your gloves on, and then you just kind of get into like muscle memory, like your routine. But if you forget to put those gloves on, you might catch yourself like, bench pressing 300 pounds. You're like, why am I so strong today? Like, why am I doing a completely different workout? Oh, wait, let me get one more comment. Taking care. Sean says, taking care of house plants is a good hobby for me. I don't need a set schedule to take care of them. And if I ever need some stimulation, I always have a few that need pruning, and I can immerse in that for a little bit. The garden is my happy place. I really like this. It's good to have a happy place where it can just be you. And even though I love people, like I love it for you to have an environment and a support system, but I like it when you have a hobby or a task or something that you can do that does not involve other people. Because if you're waiting for other people to show up, it just might be a day when everybody's busy. But if you can just go ahead, take care of your house plans, and that gives you fulfillment, then you satisfied yourself, right? And then with the activities that we need more than one person to do, you can go out and get people from different places. But I like this a lot. And as a football fan, you can come visit Lambeau. So many fun events. I think the Titans play the Packers this year. I don't know if it's in Green Bay or not. I have to look at my schedule. I hope to go to at least one or two Titans games. Take my family out there. And so you know what? We're about to end the live stream because I have to head somewhere. Right? I got to head somewhere, and I forgot to call my mom back. So that's a good example of how ADHD works, right? She called, and I said, I'll call you back, mom. And my attention went back to this. And as I'm talking and as we're ending the live, I'm like, all right, I have to go do this. I have to run this errand. I already forgot to call my mom back, right? So, now like I'm going to leave this as the last comment of the live stream. So now I know, because when the show ends for me, the last comment stays here. So I'm going to leave this here, Amanda, and I will call my mom back as soon as I finish this live. I got to do it right then and there because it takes less than a minute to call her back, right? But I'll call her right now so that I can, once I've called her, then I no longer have to do the thinking. Keep in mind the remembering of things for us, because with ADHD, you can have a hard time with your working memory, which is the things that, you have in your head that you want to remember, like something that happened like 5 minutes ago, like I came to the kitchen to get something, but I don't know why I came to the kitchen. That's your working memory, right? You might remember what happened 4 years ago when you were at the beach. Yeah, but remembering what happened 5 minutes ago can be a big struggle, right? Because with ADHD, even without ADHD, it can be difficult to manage a lot of things on your mental, right? So yeah, I will call my mom back as soon as this live ends. I will definitely call my mom back. All right, so I do have to, all right. So we're gonna get off, and I'll call my mom back. I may be able to do a couple of extra shows throughout the weekend, and also I want to like play some games too. So hopefully we can do some gaming streams. In the gaming streams, there's less people on those streams, and that's a great time for you to come and get your questions answered. So I gotta head out, call my mom back, and then, go on with my day. But I appreciate you all, and I will see you all at the next live stream. I hope y'all have a fantastic day. I hope y'all get some good sleep tonight. I know I got my melatonin somewhere here, so I should sleep good as well. So until next time, take care, and I love each and every one of y'all. Peace.